Hello everyone, welcome to this feature story based on cultural activism on social media and its impact on public relations. In today's digital world, culture no longer lives only in villages, museums, or history books. Culture now lives online. It lives on social media platforms such as Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X, and Facebook. Through these platforms, people are speaking up about who they are, what they believe in, and what they want society to respect. This online expression of culture is what we now refer to as cultural activism on social media. Cultural activism on social media involves people using digital platforms to promote, protect, or defend their cultural identity, values, traditions, language, and beliefs. It can involve campaigns about indigenous languages, African hairstyles, traditional dress, gender roles, religion, music, or even food. These cultural conversations have a strong influence on public relations, especially in how organizations communicate with the public. Public relations is about building and maintaining good relationships between organizations and their audiences. Culture plays a very important role in this relationship. When culture is ignored, communication fails, and when culture is respected, communication becomes powerful. One clear example of cultural activism on social media is the movement around African identity and pride. Many young Africans are using social media to promote African names, African fashion, African hairstyles, and African languages. Hashtags such as Proudly African, African culture, and Black is Beautiful have gained popularity. These online movements send a strong message to organizations that culture matters. For public relations practitioners, this means they must be very careful and respectful in their communication. Companies can no longer use messages or images that portray African culture as inferior or outdated. If they do, social media users are quick to call them out. In such cases, cultural activism becomes a tool for public accountability. A good example is when companies are criticized online for using cultural stereotypes in advertisements. When the public feels that a culture has been misrepresented or disrespected, people react strongly on social media. They comment, share, boycott, and demand apologies. For PR professionals, this shows that culture is not just a background issue, it is a central issue. On the other hand, cultural activism also creates opportunities for positive public relations. Organizations that understand and respect cultural values often gain public support and trust. For example, brands that celebrate local languages, traditional festivals, or national heroes often receive praise online. Such organizations are seen as culturally aware and socially responsible. Another strong area of cultural activism on social media is gender and cultural roles. Many social media users are challenging traditional cultural practices that they believe limit women or young people. Campaigns advocating for girls' education, women leadership, and gender equality have gained strong online support. In Kenya and other African countries, hashtags such as End Gender Violence and Women in Leadership reflect how culture is being questioned and reshaped. For public relations practitioners, this presents both a challenge and a responsibility. Organizations must communicate in a way that is sensitive to cultural beliefs while also supporting positive social change. PR messages must be carefully framed so that they do not offend cultural groups but instead encourage dialogue and understanding. Cultural activism on social media has also affected how organizations respond to crisis. In the past, organizations controlled the message. Today, the public controls the conversation. When a cultural issue arises, silence can be dangerous. PR practitioners are expected to respond quickly, honestly, and respectfully. For example, if an organization is accused of cultural insensitivity, the PR team must issue a statement that shows understanding of the cultural issue. Apologies must be sincere. Defensive communication often makes the situation worse. Social media users expect organizations to listen, learn, and improve. Language is another important cultural element in public relations. Many people now advocate for the use of local languages on social media. Organizations that use local languages in their communication are often seen as more relatable and respectful. This is especially important in multicultural societies where language is closely linked to identity. Cultural activism on social media also influences how public relations campaigns are designed. PR practitioners must conduct cultural research before launching campaigns. They need to understand the values, symbols, and beliefs of their target audiences. A message that works in one culture may fall in another. In addition, social media has given marginalized cultural groups a voice. Communities that were once ignored can now speak directly to organizations. This has forced PR professionals must embrace cultural awareness, sensitivity, and respect. They must engage in meaningful conversations and not just promotional messages. When culture is respected, public relations becomes a bridge between organizations and society, and when culture is ignored, public relations becomes a source of conflict. Cultural activism on social media reminds us that communication is not just about words, it is about values, identity, and respect. For public relations today, culture is not optional, it is essential.